And if you don't get on that highway before 5 to 7, you're not escaping until like 9, 10 p.m. You're just stuck there talking about just at a standstill, like just the stand. The car's not. You can park your car and you'll be good there for a while in the middle of the highway for an hour before you move an inch, because everybody's trying to get out of their way.
You
This is why.
you
Um,
a really good point because that California suffers from that as well. That you don't have other options. There's only one way to go, one way to come back, and if you go local, it'll take
yeah.
you longer. Sometimes you don't even have local as an option. And here we got you can go through the George Washington Bridge from all the way from the other side, come through Manhattan, and eventually make it to Brooklyn. Or you can go through Williamsburg to get into Manhattan from Brooklyn, and then find your way around to get to Connecticut. It's so weird, but as we start looking at the rest of the world, it's like, wait a second, are we really that far ahead? But that's why they say that was because we're easily about 20, 30 years ahead, and it's been like that for a long time. Now the gap is closing. We're easily only like about 10, 15 years ahead, which is still a big deal. People are still trying to catch up to us, but there's countries that in the past 10 years, they've flourished. Singapore is one of those places that has overnight,
Mm-hmm.
their economy is booming. But places like
Mm-hmm.
California is the opposite. The last 15 years, their economy's turned to shit. It's like
Yeah.
their lesson, like stop.
Well, I think a lot of the Asian culture success economy wise is they've really invested into this cryptocurrency. Like I said, I've learned a lot of things, and a lot of them over there, they all they talk about is the Bitcoin and the types of currency coins, and then swapping out and switching in stocks and investments. I guess I learned a couple things myself and everything. So yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah, that makes sense because they're masters at having a stable currency. What I mean by that,
Yeah.
over here we have the belief that in order to create money, you have to spend money. And
Mhm.
even at that, we still get that shit wrong. It's really the people who
Mhm.
have a lot of money that don't spend that can use that idea correctly. But Asians tend to understand that the more you have money that just stacks and you don't touch, that's where the true value is. It's like that Hollywood thing of such and such is worth $400 million. Okay, they're worth that. That means they can
Mhm.
project that in a year
Mhm.
with a certain amount of people that work with them. That as a whole, they want to be in the top of paid person, but it still doesn't mean that they have $400 million in the bank just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's not the truth. Like
Yeah.
they keep saying that this guy's a billionaire or whatnot, but he doesn't have that type of money that's sitting in the bank just for the sake of sitting there. Money is constantly moving. He's constantly reinvesting and
Mhm.
reinvesting. And we're talking about someone who did start from the bottom. He did have a lot of money to start off with, but even at that discipline really
Mhm.
makes sense when you have hundreds of thousands of people that work under you. That's where the value really sits, and how much that is
Yes.
per year, and how much the profit is. So those numbers sometimes they don't even make sense as what you take home to pay the bills, but that's not meant for the common person. However, a person that can get it and put it into action and stack their money, a lot of the times they start stacking before they turn 30, and they don't realize that stacking $100 a week when you start at the let's say at the age of 20, that's
Mhm.
pretty much a down payment on the house by the time you're 30.
No, of
Now,
course.
how many guys you know in their 20s that'll actually have the discipline to do that? You know,
Not
and it's
many.
because of that belief of you have to spend money and be in debt in order to have a lot of money. And
Yeah.
even at that, it's so wrong. I'll give you an example. Right now, some things when I know I can't pay it three times fold at that time, what I do is I go to believe it or not, I go to Home Shopping Network and I'll
Mhm.
do it in three installments for the sake that I don't have to worry about choking for my budget for that week.
Mhm.
Now, when it's paid off, it feels like it was basically something I was just buying 1 month at a time, and it's something I
Yeah.
need. What happens a lot of times, sometimes we're thinking, oh, but I need that now because it's gonna make me money. Like that's not guaranteed it's gonna make you money. Purchase with
Hmm.
somebody else's money, then make the money. Don't get into debt to try to make money like that. That's a failure. There's no guarantee.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Some other cultural differences I learned when you go to restaurants in Korea, for example, there's no tipping. Tipping doesn't exist in Korea. So that was something I had to get used to. Because obviously I'm a man that used to be a server before the army. That was my job. I was aware, so I understand the stressfulness and everything. But they don't do tipping because they actually give these waiters actually good uh wages and good stuff and everything. They have like these little things. It's like a little button at the end of the table. You just push it and they come right away. Like it doesn't. If you need a water refill, like because they don't come really and check up on you. They just come in there for the menu. They drop off the food depending if you're doing like Korean barbecue, which I'll get into that in a minute, or if it's like a sushi place, something like they just drop off the food and then that's it. If you need them, you just push the button and it'll come running like in a heartbeat. It's funny, but yeah. So I that was something that I learned over there. Oh man, there's so much. I mean, even like technology wise, like they're so far in advance in like certain areas in America, honestly. Where well, what can I can give an example. Their internet, yeah, their internet is a prime example. We're talking about they're over at gigabyte speeds, like that's their normal speed, not no 500 megabyte or 100 or whatever that Comcast wants to offer you for scamming purposes or whatever. Like over there in Korea literally runs off of, and there we're talking about there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's Wi-Fi in the train. There's Wi-Fi in the buses. In the buses, like New York buses, they don't have Wi-Fi. Not, I mean, not that I know of. Do they have Wi-Fi now or no?
About at this point, it's about 60%. Within the next
Then
years, it should be 100%.
yeah, there it's every bus in Korea you can get Wi-Fi. Every restaurant has Wi-Fi. Even like the little gas stations or the little store markets have Wi-Fi. Like there's no they don't text. They don't use text messaging. They everything's based off of messaging apps or stuff like that. So that was pretty cool to see. Like no matter where I was, like I would have like some type of Wi-Fi to get on and use the internet for or message to my family and everything like that. Um, Obviously, what I didn't, I don't know if you knew, but I also learned too that Samsung is from Korea. I did not know that until I came to Korea.
The what is?
So,
Oh,
Samsung, the company Samsung,
so yes.
yeah, I did not, yeah, I did not know that Samsung was a Korean company. So that was pretty cool. I could see all like they have Samsung stores everywhere. I mean, my phone that I have right now is from Korea. It's a Samsung Galaxy, the newest one. Also, car wise, all you're gonna see is freaking Hyundais all over Korea because Korea's Hyundai also too. So most majority of the cars that you see over there are Hyundai types and everything. You don't see Camaros or you don't see Mustangs really. Like maybe like once in a blue moon, and that's like an American. That's not a Korean, hands down. But they drive small compact cars. Uh,
I'm sure the trend.
Even the fast food is different. Let's
They don't
What happened?
outsource
Wait, what were you saying? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
when their vehicles out there. They don't get the transmissions outsources in house. They pretty much get
Yeah,
crappy transmissions to the outside of the country. Like right now, not what is it? The Nissans. Holy fudge! They outsource. Sorry, no, not the Nissans. The Kia. They outsource transmissions that are from Korea are crap. But you look at the
yeah.
life expectancy of those same cars in Korea, they do a whole lot better.
Hmm. Even let's talk about gas stations. Like I still haven't figured out like what this secret gas station society is or whatnot. But what like you think about a gas station in America and there's like 20 pumps or whatever and everything in Korea. I first off it'd be like a once in a rare sighting seeing a gas station. And second off, if you do, it's literally just one pump. Like there's a green pump, which I'm assuming is a diesel, and one pump which is the regular. And I'm just like trying to like understand the thing like with the population of how crowded this country is, like how are these cars getting their gas weekly with just one pump line? And it never looks busy. It never looks busy. Every single like I've maybe seen like my whole year like 3 or 4 gas stations, and there never was like a line of cars waiting or whatnot. So I haven't solved that mystery yet on how they get their gas. But yeah, I was baffled. I remember I was like, what the hell? Because I was with my one friend, and I remember asking about that. I was like, what do you guys do for gas? And he was like, what do you mean we go to a gas station? I was like, I've seen your gas station. From home. He was like, yeah, that's all. I was like, no, there's gotta be something else. You're fucking with me, or you're hiding something. Like you guys got something going on, or whatever, some code or something.
Well,
But
dating scene out there.
what happened?
The dating scene.
The dating scene, like I said, so you're exposed to every culture. I mean, you're exposed to Americans, you're exposed to Europeans, you're exposed to the country itself, the Asian population within itself. Like I've met Taiwanese women, I've met Chinese women, I've met Korean, Japanese, Singaporean, I guess is the name. I don't know, forgive me if I don't pronounce it right. But every Asian country that exists out there, I've seen and met. I would say that's actually an interesting subject. It's crazy. I think I would say dating in a different country, the women are very more, I think, upfront with their intentions and upfront versus in America. A lot of people have this whole mind game, beating around the bush kind of stuff, and everything was something that I'm not used to. I, I know Asian from my experience. This isn't just a general statement saying that all Asian women are like this, but with my experience, a lot of them are very straight to the point, and um, they don't want to mess with any, forgive me for saying, but fuck boys or anything like that. They want someone with goals, and they want, because a lot of them, okay, I'm just talking about Korean women for right now in general, because I ended up dating a Korean woman too when I was over there. But I'd say about today's generation slash maybe the generation before us, there's right now Korean women out there in their 30s, or yeah, in their 30s right now, late 20s, 30s, still living with their parents, not married, have a job, this really great secure job and everything, but they're living with their parents still because they don't leave the house until they find their eventual husband and everything. Take for example, my ex-girlfriend that I ended up meeting at a bar and everything, she was actually living with her parents. I think she was 30. And oh, well, before we get into it, so Koreans, um their age is different than the rest of the world. For some reason, like as soon as you're born, you're one. You're not zero. So their age is 1 year more than us. So if you're 27 in America, you're 28 in Korean age.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to get used to that. So whenever I ask someone their age, they always say, "Is this your Korean age or is this your international age?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's my age. It's what I know." They're like, "No, well, you're 1 year older in Korea, so you're really 27." I was like, "Don't put that evil on me. I don't want to get old." But
Appreciate
yeah, but yeah, so their Korean age is 1 year older than the international age, because as soon as you come out of your mother's womb, you're one. There's no zero. There's no, oh, my baby's 6 months. No, you're one, and then you go from there. They mostly like they usually, if they don't marry right away within, I'd say probably like their early 20s, which is, I guess, the what the newer generation. She was shy at first, which is something that is just, I think, normal, nothing really too different. But she immediately was asking about like what my goals were, and like what I do, and like what my future goals and everything, which is something that I wasn't used to, because that's not usually what I usually conversate like in the beginning with someone right there. Like it was like straight. So to me, it felt like she was like trying to see if there was already a possible way to secure a future with me and everything, seeing where I stand at with wherever my current path is and everything. So that was something to experience with. Um, they're very, very shy at first in the beginning. Some of them are, or they'll be straight out just extroverts, just like myself, because I'm an extrovert. I would definitely say I would put my ex as an introvert 100%, which is something new to me also, because I usually don't date or find myself in a relationship seeing someone that's in the introvert type because I'm an extrovert myself.